Hey guys, let's take a look at more pets that saved their owners' lives, whether it was from an attack or just going there to help. These pets did everything they could to help their humans, and well, they deserve all the pets after this. 12 out of 10 for being good dogs. Also, please give this video a like, it really makes a huge difference. Let's just begin. Let's begin with the amazing video of a dog who incredibly led police to a fire at his house in Alaska. The police had been searching for the road that led to the house for quite a while, without any luck as the GPS was not very reliable during that time. Suddenly they came upon a dog who started running towards the fire, so they followed him and he led them straight there. The owner actually noticed the fire early on and was able to get the shepherd out, then told him, "We need to get help," and Buddy just started running to find anything that he could to help them out. The dog helped save the owner, and this was not the first time, as he has actually chased away bears in the past. He's just a truly good boy. Saul and his owner went camping in Tahoe National Forest when the owner slipped and fell down a 70-foot hillside. Somehow, with his injuries, the man was able to get to an area with cell service and called for help. When rescuers got to the area, they were told to just look for Saul. They came upon him and Saul did the hero duty and led them for about 300 yards straight to his injured owner, who was in a makeshift shelter. The man suffered traumatic injuries but has made a full recovery. This man had so much trust in his best friend that he just left everything up to him. Without Saul, the rescuers would have had a really hard time finding him, and maybe they would have gotten there too late. An older man in Pennsylvania in the United States went on his daily walk with his best friend, a dog named Guy. He went into the woods when suddenly he slipped and fell on an embankment and would remain stuck there for 12 hours. The man was eventually reported missing and rescue crews started searching for him, but after 3 hours they couldn't find anything. Eventually they heard Guy barking, and when they reached him, the dog started leading them down a path, stopping every 20 or 30 feet just to make sure that they were still following him. They eventually got to the owner through a safe passage that Guy had actually found, as the path to the old man was extremely steep. This hero dog left his owner and found help. Rescuers said that if he hadn't have done it, there was a chance his owner might have died. The dog refused to eat for a couple hours after this stressful event, but eventually had some food at the fire department until he could be reunited with his owner. Willow, Bentley, and their owner were involved in a rollover accident that ejected both dogs out of the car. Bentley ran and got lost, but Willow, covered in mud and scratches, went out looking for help for the injured owner. Willow ran a good distance until he came upon a police car where he tried to get his attention. Eventually the cop got him in the car, and as he was driving him to a shelter, they noticed a man screaming as he was by the car accident. The dog started barking and they eventually reunited him with his owner. Bentley was also eventually found. Bella and Sadie belonged to Mary Hatcher, and one day she suddenly had a stroke and fell to the ground. Incredibly, Sadie walked right up to her, and Mary told her, "I need help," and she was off with Bella to find help. This entire day was a miracle. First, the door was left slightly ajar and the dogs were able to get out. The neighbor understood that dogs needed help and made it over to the house immediately. And somehow, with as long as she had the blood clot, they were able to remove it and she is relatively fine after this event. But of course, the big heroes here are Bella and Sadie, who went out searching for help for their dying owner, and they are such good girls that they were able to save her life. Haley Moore and Clover the dog had only been together for 2 years, taking their daily walks. One day, Haley suddenly collapsed to the ground and had a seizure. The dog immediately jumped into action, helping Haley turn her over away from the snow, and then got into the road and stopped a guy that was driving by. You could see how the dog was extremely worried and got in the way while turning her head constantly towards Haley while looking at the guy so he would stop and help her. Luckily, the man understood the assignment and immediately rushed to her side and got people to call 911. The owner didn't even know of the heroics of her dog until she saw the news and she saw the video, and now, well, they obviously love him even more. Tinsley the shepherd was running on the highway when police responded to a loose dog. They were unable to catch him as he kept running away. They kept the chase on until Tinsley led them to the side of the road where her owner and a friend had just crashed their car. Incredibly, Tinsley had been ejected from the car during the accident, but he was able to remain calm and get help for both men that survived the night thanks to him. Unfortunately, a bulldog that was in the car passed away at the scene. The cops said that they decided to follow the dog because it would run away and then look back at them, run away and look back, so they knew that this was a Lassie situation. The accident was a mile away from where they first encountered the dog. That is a pretty long distance to travel and get help. Danelle Belangi adopted a 5-month-old puppy from the shelter as it was love at first sight. Danelle was an athlete, one of the top extreme runners in the world. She would always take Taz with her running along her side on all those incredibly grueling mountain runs. One day while training in Moab in Utah, she slipped and fell down a steep cliffside, breaking her pelvis, causing her to be unable to move at all. She was stuck there for 3 days, and in those 3 days, Taz would leave her side to try and find help. But it would always come back and check on her. Finally, on the 3rd day, Taz was able to come upon some rescuers and he tried to get them to follow him, but he failed at first. Eventually, while searching, the rescuers came upon Taz once again, and this time, one of them had a gut feeling and followed the dog. He kept losing him constantly, but eventually seeing him and following the trail once again. After losing him again, he finally came to the cliffside and found the woman laying on her back with a dog laying by her side. Danelle was bleeding internally, but after getting treatment and surgeries, 8 months later, she was out running again with Taz right behind her, ready to save her life again if needed, just like a guardian angel. This is the story of a 17-year-old dog who was partially blind and deaf and was still the hero when he was able to save the life of his 3-year-old owner. Aurora Kyle was the little girl who wandered off one day and was missing for 15 hours, but she had a savior with her, as Max the dog followed her and spent the cold night with her, keeping her warm. The dog eventually barked and went a little way away to get the rescuers to come to the rescue and save the little girl. Incredibly, the dog apparently tried to lead the girl back to the lights during the night, but she was too scared and kept the dog close to her. Goes to show that those older dogs at the animal shelter still have a lot of love to give. This dog was running around a lake, all wet and worried, when a neighbor ran into the dog. They put him on a leash and called the number on the collar, but there was no answer. A Chico the dog kept pulling away and trying to get into the water, trying to get to something in the lake. Eventually, 2 other neighbors came along and they started peering a little bit into the thick bushes around the lake until one of them incredibly spotted an elderly woman who was sitting in the water extremely cold and very confused. The dog never left her side and tried everything to communicate with the humans that they needed their help. Eventually, rescuers came and helped the woman get out without further injuries. The dog definitely saved this woman's life by being able to bring people nearby so they could actually find her. Do you guys think that your pets would step up and save your lives? It's something to think about. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you next time.